Welcome to my second video on partial fractions. I have a second example here of 4x divided by x minus 1, or quantity squared, times x plus 1. So we have two linear terms again. One of them, though, is repeated. So to first do the distinct one, this would be a divided by x plus 1, right? Since that one's the distinct one. For the x minus 1 squared term, since it's squared, we're first going to do b divided by x minus 1 plus c divided by x minus 1 squared. And now we're going to multiply through by this denominator. Again, I'm just going to write denominator just to signify that's what we're multiplying by, since it's kind of long. And I don't want to completely waste space just to put that all on there. So multiplying through by that denominator, left side just becomes 4x is equal to a times x minus 1 squared plus b times x minus 1 times x plus 1 plus c times x minus 1. All right, so going to go on here on the right, we get a times x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus b times x squared minus 1 plus c times x minus 1. Okay. So, excuse me, this is supposed to be a c times x plus 1. These are pluses. But the binomial being multiplied by c here. All right, so just like in the last example, we could equate based on those values on the left-hand side. There's no x squared or a constant, so this one's a little bit nicer. We would have 0 is equal to, well, let me first actually separate these out so we can see it nicer, actually, before going through that process. This is equal to x squared times a plus b plus x times negative 2a plus c plus, for those constant terms now, we have a minus b plus c. All right, so tossing that all together, our three equations will be, since there is no x squared term on the left, this will be 0 is equal to a plus b. This is the 4 in front of the x. This second one will be for the x term, 4 is equal to negative 2a plus c. And there's no constant, so 0 is equal to a minus b plus c. Now this one we can't really simplify before doing it. So the best that we could hope for with that is to then either solve it as a linear system, which 3 equations and 3 variables, you would have to do some work. I'm going to write this one out as a matrix again. So based on this top equation, this would be 1, 1, 0, augmented with 0 since there's no c term here. The second one, there's no b term, so negative 2, 0, 1, and 4. The bottom one, all 3 are there. 1, negative 1, 1, and 0. All right. So we could take 2 times the first row and add it to the second row. So that first row stays the same, 1, 1, 0, augmented with 0. So when we multiply this top row by 2 and add it down, we get 2, 2, 0, 0. The second row of negative 2, 0, 1, and 4. Adding that down, we get 0, 2, 1, and 4. So 0, 2, 1, 4. And we could also do at the same time, might as well. Negative of the first row plus the third row. So multiplying the top by -1, that's -1, -1, 0, and then augmented with 0. Then we have the third row, 1, -1, 1, 0. And now we're going to add those down for this. So -1, -1 plus 1. This will give us a 0 here. -1 plus -1. That will give us a -2. If my computer wants me to write, that is. -2. And 0 plus 1 gives us a 1. And then we still have 0 on the right. So 0, -2, 1, and 0. The second thing we want to do, since we want to, again, solve this matrix, we're going to take the second row and add it to the third. So row 2 plus row 3. All right. The first two rows stayed the same. 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 1, 4. This bottom one. So from what we're doing here, we are doing 2, 1, 0, 2, 1, 4. 0, -2, 1, 0, and we are adding these. So 0, 0, 2, 4. 0, 0, 2, 4 from that. Okay, so based upon this, we have our three equations. Let me write that up here. First one would still be A plus B is equal to 0. The second one is 2B plus C is equal to 4 now. And finally, 2C is equal to 4. Based on that bottom one, we could solve for C. By dividing by 2, we get C is equal to 2, right? We could place that into the second equation to get 2B plus 2 is equal to 4. So subtracting 2, dividing by 2, we would get ourselves an answer of B to be 1. And then putting that 1 into the top equation, A plus 1 is equal to 0. So A would be -1. So we have a solution here, right? A is -1, B is +1, and C is +2. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.